So in the last lecture we have started with this design of cantilever retaining walls. So which are the different types of cantilever retaining wall? There are two cantilever types of retaining walls are there. The first one is L type and the second one is T-shaped type. So this is mostly used type of retaining wall, that is a T-shaped cantilever retaining wall. T-shaped cantilever retaining wall because it is shaped like this, inverted T shape. Okay, and this is again another type of retaining wall. It is shaped like a L type retaining wall. So these are two different types of retaining walls are there, cantilever retaining walls are there. And then we have some parts of retaining walls. Okay, this part is called as stem, this part is called as stem, this part is called as slab. Okay, or base slab. The base slab in this particular region, the base slab in this particular region is called as heel slab, it is called as heel slab, whereas the base slab in this particular region it is called as a toe slab, it is called as a toe slab. Whereas in case of this type, this L type retaining wall, in case of this L type retaining wall, there is no toe slab is provided, there is no toe slab is provided. Okay, okay, these types of cantilever retaining wall can be used for retaining earth soil up to a height of 6 meters. Okay, after 6 meter it becomes uneconomical to provide this type of cantilever retaining wall. So after if we are having the height of retaining material more than 6 meter, we will go for either counterfort retaining wall or other different types of retaining walls. Okay, this we have already covered. These are some pictures. And then we have this active earth pressure. Okay, whenever we have some retaining wall, okay, let us consider we have this type of retaining wall is there. Okay, we have some retaining wall is there like this. Let us consider we have this cantilever retaining wall like this here, and it is retaining some earth material. Earth material means, let us consider it is soil, let us consider it is some soil is there. Okay, due to the force exerted by this soil, due to this force exerted by this soil, there may be some forces developed on this retaining wall which is acting in this direction, which is acting in this particular direction. So this force is called as active earth pressure, it is called as active earth pressure. Okay, it is called as active earth pressure. Okay, whereas there may be possibility that there is some undisturbed soil mass, or the filling for the foundation may also be present on the other side of retaining wall. Okay, the soil which we are retaining is on this particular side. Okay, this is on the left side, this is on the left side, whereas there may be possibility that this retaining wall is provided some depth in the ground, some depth is provided in the ground. So there will be again some soil is provided here, some soil is provided here. Due to the action of this soil mass, due to the action of this soil mass which is to be retained, there will be some active earth pressure is generated on this cantilever retaining wall, and due to this active earth pressure, what will happen, this cantilever retaining wall may move in this direction. So it is called as active earth pressure. Whereas if there is some soil mass on the left hand side of this retaining wall, okay, if there is some soil mass on left hand side of this retaining wall, there will be again some pressure will be applied from this soil mass on the retaining wall. This pressure is called as passive earth pressure. This pressure is called as passive earth pressure. This particular portion is covered in your geotechnical engineering or foundation engineering also. Okay, so the same is explained here. Okay, due to the active earth pressure, what will happen, there will be tensile force will be developed in the soil mass which is with or backfill material, whereas in due to passive earth pressure there will be compressive force will be developed. Okay, yeah, same phenomenon is explained here. You can see here we are having some soil mass, we are having some soil mass which is to be retained on this side, on this particular side, on this particular side. So due to the action of this particular soil mass, some force will be developed on this cantilever retaining wall. The magnitude of this earth pressure. This earth pressure will be active earth pressure. This will be active earth pressure. So the pressure which is acting on the wall from the side of retaining material, it is called as active earth pressure, and the active earth pressure is such that it is having zero magnitude at the top. It is having zero magnitude at the top, whereas the magnitude at the base of your retaining wall, this will be Ka into gamma h. This will be Ka into gamma h, where Ka into gamma h, where Ka, okay, where Ka is the coefficient of active earth pressure, gamma is the weight density of soil material which we are retaining, and h is the total height of this particular retaining wall, total height of this particular retaining wall. So this is how the active earth pressure will be acting. Generally in fluid mechanics you may have seen some dam is there, and it is retaining some water. Then the pressure developed by this water on the this dam, this is considered as zero at the top, and at the base we consider this as gamma into h. Whereas in case of earth retaining walls, we will consider Ka into gamma h, where Ka will consider this earth pressure at the base as Ka into gamma h, where Ka is the coefficient of active earth pressure, because the soil will not act like a water. Okay, the behavior of soil will be different. Therefore we are considering this coefficient of active earth pressure in case of this retaining walls. So the pressure which will be acting from the backfill material or soil which we are retaining, it is called as active earth pressure, whereas you can see here in this particular figure, some soil material is also provided on left hand side of this retaining wall. This may be due to this particular retaining wall is provided some depth in the ground for foundation purpose, so some pressure will be acting from left hand side of this retaining wall on the stem. It is called as passive earth pressure, and the magnitude is 0 at the top, whereas at the base it is Kp into gamma into h, where Kp is the coefficient of passive earth pressure, gamma is unit weight of soil mass, and h is the height of your or depth of your material which is provided on the left hand side of this particular retaining wall, or on the toe end. This is toe end, on the toe end of this retaining wall. Okay, this is your hill end, this is complete, it is called as base slab, and this particular portion is called as a stem, okay. Yeah, earth pressure on retaining wall, it is already explained that if this is your retaining wall, if we are having our retaining wall like this, okay, and it is retaining some material or soil mass on left hand side, the pressure will be developed on the retaining wall. This particular pressure is called as active earth pressure, the magnitude is 0 at the top, and at the base it is Ka into gamma into h, where K is the coefficient of active earth pressure and gamma and h are regular meanings, okay, where h is the total height of your retaining wall. Okay, this particular force, okay, here the magnitude will be K into gamma into h, okay. So the resultant force due to this particular active earth pressure, this will be acting at a height h by 3, it will be acting at a height h by 3, which is shown in this particular figure. It will be acting at a height h by 3, and the magnitude will be area of this particular figure. So magnitude, let us consider PA is the active earth pressure, magnitude will be half into base is K into gamma h, Ka gamma h, and again we have height, so this will be the magnitude. So this is equal to half Ka gamma h square. So this is the magnitude of lateral force, okay, this is the lateral force which will be acting here, and this is the pressure intensity, okay. Okay, similar phenomenon is explained here. The active earth pressure will be K into gamma H, where P is the P is the this is written wrong. Okay, let us consider this as PA. Active earth pressure is equal to Ka into gamma H. Okay, where Pa is the active earth pressure, K is the coefficient of active earth pressure, gamma is the weight density, and height is H is the total height of your retaining wall. Okay, now there may be possibility that if this is a soil, which is to be retained, okay, if this is a soil which is to be retained on the backside of your retaining wall, this particular surface, this may be horizontal, or there may be possibility that this particular surface is having some inclined soil material is provided like this. Okay, so this is called as a soil retaining wall with horizontal or level surface of backfill, whereas it is called as inclined backfill. ओके, जब भी इंक्लाइन टाइप से अगर सॉइल रिटेन हो रहा है आपके बैक रिटेनिंग वॉल पे, देन इट इज कॉल्ड एज इंक्लाइंड बैकफिल। वेयर एज अगर इस पे हॉरिजॉन्टल या फिर लेवल सरफेस है आपके रिटेनिंग वॉल के पीछे की सॉइल का, देन इट इज कॉल्ड एज अ रिटेनिंग वॉल विथ लेवल सरफेस। So there are again two different types. First, horizontal surface material and inclined backfill. Okay, now we already seen that the pressure intensity at the base is given by Ka into gamma into H. Now, so we should know what is the value of Ka to determine the pressure intensity. Now, I think in geotechnical engineering, this particular portion is covered, that is Rankins theory. Therefore, as per this particular Rankins theory, the coefficient of active earth pressure is given by this particular formula. The coefficient of active earth pressure is given by Ka is equal to 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. So phi, here phi is the angle of internal friction, where in this particular equation this value phi, this is the angle of internal friction. This is covered in your geotechnical engineering. But this formula of coefficient of active earth pressure is applicable when your retaining wall is like this. Okay, and the soil we are retaining is having horizontal finish. Okay, whereas if we are having some sloping backfill, okay, means this is your retaining wall, and the soil material is like this, or your GL is having some inclined profile, then the coefficient of active earth pressure is given by this particular formula, that is cos theta minus under root cos square theta minus cos square phi. This is phi. Okay, divided by cos theta plus cos square theta minus cos square phi, close the bracket, multiplied by cos theta, where this theta is the angle of inclination of this particular backfill. This angle is your theta. That is the angle of inclination of your soil profile. It is called as theta. Okay, or angle of backfill. Okay, so we have two terms here, that is first term is phi. This phi term is the angle of internal friction of your soil, or angle of repose. Okay, you know this particular term, angle of repose or angle of internal friction. Whereas this theta is the angle of your backfill material, with the retaining wall. This is called as angle of backfill material. Okay, so we have two different types of backfill. The first one is with horizontal backfill. So for horizontal backfill, we have coefficient of active earth pressure as 1 minus sine phi divided by 1 plus sine phi, whereas if we are having sloping backfill, then the formula for calculating the coefficient of active earth pressure is Ka is equal to cos theta minus cos under root cos square theta minus cos square phi divided by cos theta plus cos square theta minus cos square phi multiplied by cos into theta, where this theta is the angle of your sloping backfill, phi is the coefficient, or sorry, angle of internal friction of your soil material. Okay. Okay, same phenomenon is explained here, that is passive earth pressure. I explained this earlier also. Okay. Now the previous formulas for the were for the active earth pressure. Previous formulas were for the active earth pressure. Okay, these two formulas were for active earth pressure. These were for active earth pressure. Active earth pressure when horizontal backfill and active earth pressure when sloping backfill is there. Okay, now we will see the formula for calculating the coefficient of passive earth pressure. Okay. Okay, passive earth pressure means the pressure is acting in the opposite direction of your retaining material, in the opposite direction of your retaining material. So again the formula for getting this passive earth pressure is, it is 0 at the top, it is 0 at the top, and at the base the intensity is Kp into gamma into h, Kp into gamma into h, where Kp, this value Kp is the coefficient of passive earth pressure. This value Kp is the coefficient of passive earth pressure, and the formula for calculating this passive earth coefficient of passive earth pressure is given by these two formulas. The first one is for horizontal backfill, means we are having our retaining wall like this and your soil mass is retained like this. Okay, that is the profile is horizontal. The profile is horizontal. Then the formula for coefficient of passive earth pressure is 1 plus sine phi, 1 plus sine phi divided by 1 minus sine phi. We can also consider it as a 1 divided by Ka, 1 divided by Ka, because coefficient of active earth pressure is 1 minus sine phi divided by 1 plus sine phi, where this value phi is the coefficient, angle of internal friction, angle of internal friction. So coefficient of passive earth pressure in case of horizontal backfill is 1 plus sine phi divided by 1 minus sine phi. This is the formula. Whereas if we have sloping backfill, if we have some sloping backfill is there, the coefficient of passive earth pressure is given by this particular formula. Coefficient of passive earth pressure is given by this particular formula. If we can also consider this as 1 divided by Ka, because it is Kp is the inverse of Ka. Okay. Okay, again this is also explained earlier. If we have some active earth pressure is there from this particular side, the base intensity here it will be Ka into gamma into h. Okay, here intensity will be 0, therefore the lateral force, okay, the lateral force which is exerted by this earth soil, this will be acting here at a distance. If this is your total h, if this is height of your retaining wall, then it will be acting at a distance h by 3 from the base of your retaining wall, and the intensity will be half, that is area of this particular triangular portion. We have top 0, therefore base is half base into height, so base is Ka into gamma into h, whereas we have height as capital H, therefore this will be equal to half into Ka gamma h square, okay. So this is how the lateral pressure will be acting on this particular retaining wall. Okay. Now in case of your T-shaped cantilever retaining wall, we will be having some toe portion here, whereas the hill portion will be on the side of your retaining material, okay. Now what happens, this pressure soil mass on the left side, this will also exert some pressure on the retaining wall. but for simplicity and as the pressure exerted, this passive earth pressure is very small. Therefore this particular passive earth pressure is neglected in design. This passive earth pressure is neglected in the design because the depth of this passive earth pressure is very small, or the soil on the opposite side of your retaining wall, this is very small, and therefore the pressure which is acting on this retaining wall, that is this passive earth pressure, this is small. Therefore we neglect this particular passive earth pressure in design purpose. Okay, this will again provide some stability to your retaining wall because the active earth pressure is acting in this direction and passive earth pressure is acting in this particular direction. So it will provide stability because it is acting in the opposite direction of your active earth pressure. Okay. Now there may be possibility, the earlier formulas were for cohesionless soil or phi soils, okay, or phi soils. So there is possibility that for cohesive soil, the behavior of your cohesive soil the behavior of your cohesive soil, this may be something different, this may be something different. Therefore considering the material properties, the coefficient of earth pressure, if your retaining wall is at rest position, then the pressure intensity is given by Ka into gamma h, K0 into gamma h, where K0 is the coefficient of earth pressure at rest. K0 is the coefficient of earth pressure at rest. Whereas for cohesive soils, the active earth pressure is given by this particular formula, that is active earth pressure is equal to, that is, let us PA, this is equal to gamma into H minus 2C. Why 2C? Because it is a cohesive soil and there will be C factor will come into effect. Okay, whereas passive earth pressure is given by this particular formula, that is PP is equal to gamma H plus 2C, gamma H plus 2C. Okay, now you can see here this active earth pressure will be 0 at the top, because at the top we will be having this gamma H factor 0, therefore this passive earth pressure will be minus, if this is your retaining wall, let it just a minute, yeah, we'll go to next slide. Okay, now we are having this active earth pressure is equal to gamma H minus 2C. So at the top we will have this gamma H factor 0, so PA active earth pressure at the top, this will be minus 2C, that is negative 2C, therefore the profile will be something like this. Here we will be having minus 2C. But from practical point of view, this value at the top, this cannot be negative, because if these two materials, that is this retaining wall and this soil mass are not bounded together, these two are not bounded together, therefore there is no possibility that there will be negative pressure will be developed here. So what we will be doing for practical purpose, we will be considering this as 0, whereas at the base it will be this particular value, at the base, just a minute, yeah, at the base this particular value, base will be gamma H minus 2C, but this particular value should be more than or equal to, gamma H divided by 4, where gamma is the unit weight of your soil mass, H is the total height, C is the factor for cohesive soils. Okay, so this is how we will be taking for the earth pressure intensities at the cohesive soils. But from your practical purpose, what we will be doing, we won't consider something like cohesive and cohesionless soil. What we will be doing, we will just convert this C phi value, okay, for purely cohesive soils we will be having this C value as 0. For purely cohesive soil we will be having this C value as 0, whereas for cohesionless soils, okay, whereas for cohesive soils will be having this phi value as 0, phi value as 0. This is angle of internal friction, this will be 0, whereas all other soils are designated as C phi soil. So in general we will be using the Rankine's formula for calculating the coefficient of active earth pressure and coefficient of passive earth pressure. Now what we will be doing, rather than considering these different types of soil, that is cohesive soil, cohesion less soil, then C phi soil, okay, what we will be doing, we will convert this value C, we will convert this value C into some equivalent value of phi, we will convert this value C in some equivalent value of phi. So we will be able to use these two formula only. So we won't be considering two different types of soil, we will consider that as a cohesion-less soils only. Okay, again we will be providing some backfill material of sand-like material on the backfill of your retaining wall. Okay. Now earth pressure due to surcharge. Okay. Now what happens if we are having some horizontal backfill like this? Okay, if our ground level was like this, we consider this as a horizontal backfill. But if we are having some inclined backfill like this, what will happen? Again, along with this particular pressure, that is Ka into gamma h, which is caused due to this height, this height of your retaining material. Okay, for this particular region, soil mass, this is called as surcharge. Okay, this surcharge may be due to some inclined backfill, or due to some uniform distributed load like this, or some building may be resting on this particular area, okay, so this is called as surcharge. Now this surcharge will be considered only when it is within the plane of your rupture, so the plane of rupture is given like this. If your this surcharge, this material is within this particular region, okay, then we will consider this the weight of this surcharge, or for design purpose. If it is beyond this particular region, if it is in this particular region, we won't consider the surcharge, Now how this plane of rupture is calculated or determined? Okay, now the plane of rupture is generally within this range of 40 degree to 45 degree. So if this line touches this ground profile here, if we are having some material retained in this particular region of your plane of rupture, in this particular region, then we will consider the surcharge. This portion is surcharge. Otherwise we will neglect the surcharge, but because it will not affect the forces on the retaining wall. Okay, yeah, when we have some inclined backfill, which is as shown in the last figure, okay, in this particular case, what we will be doing, you will be using directly the Rankine's formula, that is Ka is equal to cos theta minus under root cos square theta minus cos square phi divided by cos theta plus under root cos square theta minus cos square phi, and multiply this particular complete term with cos theta. Okay, we will be using this particular formula for calculating the for considering the effect of surcharge itself. Okay, but what if we are having some uniformly distributed load? Which is shown like this, there may be some building is resting on this particular portion, above the horizontal backfill. Then what we will be doing, we will consider for this particular height of your retaining wall, what we will be doing, we will consider the pressure intensity like this triangular portion. Okay, so this is Ka into gamma into H, whereas for this surcharge or surcharge for uniformly distributed load, what will be considering if Ws is the intensity of your surcharge, that is Ws per meter run. Ws per meter run is the intensity. Then what will be doing, will convert this intensity into the soil mass of equivalent height, and this is given by Ws divided by gamma. This is given by Ws divided by gamma. So what we'll be doing, we'll convert this into this triangular portion like this, which is having some height of Ws divided by gamma, and due to this some pressure is developed on this particular earth retaining wall, and the intensity we consider this as Ka into Ws, Ka into Ws. Okay, so this is how we will be considering the effect of surcharge again. Okay, now due to this soil mass, the pressure, lateral pressure exerted, this will be acting at a height of h by 3. It is acting at a height of h by 3, and intensity is again half Ka gamma h square, whereas the intensity due to this surcharge, this will be acting at a height of h by 2. This is acting at a height of h by 2 because this particular portion is a rectangular portion. This is a rectangular portion, and the intensity will be the area of this particular rectangular portion, area will be Kaws into h, where Kaws is the intensity of pressure which is shown here, and h is the height of this retaining wall. Okay. Okay, same phenomenon is explained here. Yeah, how this Kaws is obtained, because we have this active earth pressure. Active earth pressure is equal to Ka into gamma, Ws divided by gamma. So this gamma gets cancelled, so we get this intensity here equal to Ka into Ws, where Ws is the intensity of surcharge loading. Okay, I think this surcharge portion is already covered in your geotechnical engineering also. Okay, now if this particular surcharge or uniformly distributed load is there at some distance from the retaining wall, let us consider it is at a distance, acting at a distance L from the retaining wall, it is acting at a distance small capital L from this retaining wall, then how to consider the effect of this uniformly distributed load surcharge? What we will be doing, we will draw some line from the point where the load is starting, which is provided at an angle 45 degree, here. Okay, now this line will touch here with the retaining wall, this will be touching here at the retaining wall. So we'll consider for this particular height the pressure intensity due to this surcharge will be acting. The intensity will be again Ka into Ws, but the height which is considered, this will be the height. Let us consider this is h2, where capital H is the total height of your retaining wall, h1 is this particular height, the point where this line of 45 degree will meet the retaining wall. From this particular portion we will be having this earth pressure generated due to this surcharge. Okay, so total pressure intensity generated here, it will be Kws into h2, whereas again due to soil mass, this pressure intensity will be generated as usual. Okay. Now again there is some pressure intensity will be different if we are having some submerged soil is there. Okay, some submerged soil is there. If there is some submerged soil is there, just a minute. Am I audible now? Yeah. So if there is some submerged soil mass is there, what will happen? There will be reduction in the weight of your soil mass will takes place. Okay, reduction in the weight of soil mass will takes place, but at the same time, if this is your retaining wall and this is completely submerged soil is there, there is some submerged soil is there, what will happen? There will be two forces will be acting. The first is due to the soil mass. Okay, this is first pressure due to soil mass, let us consider this, and the second pressure will be acting due to this water which is completely filled in the voids of your soil mass. Okay, this will be due to water. Okay, so two different pressure will be acting. Again, this will be acting at a height h by 2, it will be h by 3, it will be acting at a height h by 3. Let us consider the submerged unit of your soil is given by gamma dash, and unit weight of water is given by gamma w. Unit weight of your water is given by gamma w. Then we are having three different cases of submerged soil. Okay, there may be possibility that the water level is here at the ground level. Again, ground level is matching with the water level. Then the two different pressures will be acting on this retaining wall. This retaining wall will be there, and two different pressure will be acting. The first one is due to water, and the intensity will be gamma w into h. We know that if some dam is there and it is retaining some water, then the pressure intensity is gamma w into h. Similarly, we will consider this as a gamma into h at the base, whereas 0 at the top. Again, due to this soil mass, again we will be having soil mass here. Okay, submerged soil mass. Due to this soil mass, again 0 at the top and Ka into gamma h. Okay, this will be Ka gamma dash h, where this Ka gamma dash h is the pressure intensity due to submerged soil mass. Okay, and the formula total pressure will be Ka gamma h plus gamma w into h. Okay, this is not that much important actually from our examination point of view, because there will be no problem of submerged soil mass. Okay, so this is second condition, when the ground level is above and water level is below, that is it is submerged soil for this particular portion only. Okay, for this h2 portion, this will be the submerged soil. Okay, for this h1, the soil will not be submerged, the soil will not be submerged. Just a minute. Okay, for this particular portion of h1, the soil will not be submerged. Okay, so the total pressure intensity will be given by this particular formula. Okay, that is Ka gamma h1, that is the pressure intensity due to soil in this particular region. Then the pressure intensity due to soil in this particular region will be different. This is given by this portion, and the pressure intensity due to this water, okay, this will be gamma w into h2. It is shown here. So it is the combination of all three cases or sum of all three cases. Okay, again, if we have this water level above and ground level below, then the pressure intensity is given by this particular formula. This is not that much important. Okay, so I will not explain this. Now, what are the different forces which are acting on your retaining wall? Which are the different forces which are acting on your retaining wall? Okay, so first force, okay, the first force is W1 here. Okay, the first force is W1, that is the weight of your soil mass which is in this particular region, or which is acting above this hill portion, which is placed above this particular hill portion. This is the W1, this is the W1, it is placed above this particular hill portion. This is W1. This will provide stability to the retaining wall, because what it will be doing, it will apply some force like this, so it will resist the movement of your retaining wall. Again, we have second force, is the weight of your stem, that is W2, which is shown here in this particular figure. W2, this is the weight of your stem. It will again provide stability to your retaining wall. Then we have W3, which is shown here. Okay, W3, which is shown here. So W3 is the weight of this base slab, okay. This will again provide stability to your retaining wall, again we have this W4, that is the weight of your material or soil, which is provided in this above this toe region, okay. So this force will be acting in the downward direction. It will again provide stability, but in design purpose, as discussed earlier, we will be neglecting this. Because this particular pressure or force is small, therefore we will neglect this. Then we have another main force which is acting here is the force from the retaining wall. We are having this force from the retaining material or the backfill material, and the intensity of this backfill force is given by PAH is equal to Ka gamma H square divided by 2. This is Ka gamma H square divided by 2, whereas the pressure developed due to this passive earth pressure, this will be neglecting. Okay. So these are different forces which are acting on the retaining wall. This is the destabilizing force. This particular force of PAH, that is lateral earth pressure due to backfill material, this is destabilizing force, whereas remaining all the forces are stabilizing forces, or this will resist the force which is generated due to active earth pressure. Okay, similar figure is shown here, some larger view is shown here. Okay, W1 weight of soil on this hill slab, okay, W2 weight of stem, W3 weight of your slab, W4 is the weight of your material on the toe portion. This portion is called as toe portion. This particular portion is toe, this particular portion is hill, and this total portion is base slab. Okay, all these W1, W2, W3, W4, this will resist the forces which are developed due to this backfill material, this pressure intensity, that is this particular pressure intensity Pa is equal to Ka gamma H square divided by 2. Okay. Yeah, now the stability of retaining wall. Okay, the stability of retaining wall. Now a cantilever retaining wall may fail due to these three ways. The first one is overturning. Let us consider this is your retaining wall. Yeah, let us consider this is your retaining wall is there. This type of retaining wall is there, and it is subjected to some soil mass. Let us consider this is your ground level. So what will happen? There will be some pressure will be developed from this soil mass, and intensity is Ka gamma H here at the base. Top it will be 0, therefore the lateral pressure developed due to this active earth pressure, this will be, let us consider PAH, this will be equal to the area of this particular triangular portion, okay. So area will be half into base is Ka into gamma H. This is the total height of your retaining wall shown by H, multiplied by height, or half base into height. Okay, so H, so this will be equal to half Ka into gamma into H square. Now this force of PAH will be acting here at a distance h by 3, so what it will be doing? It will apply some moment, like this at this toe end, and it will cause overturning. It will cause the overturning of your retaining wall, So this may be one of the reason for failure of your retaining wall. The second way is your sliding. Okay, second way is failure due to sliding of retaining wall. Let us consider this is your retaining wall and some soil mass is retained like this. Again this force will be acting here. So what may happen? this retaining wall may slide in this particular direction. This retaining wall may slide in this particular direction if the frictional force developed by the ground is less than this active lateral earth pressure. Okay, if this PAH is more than this frictional force which is developed by the soil mass or foundation soil will be there, and if this particular force is less than PAH, then this retaining wall will slide in this particular direction. Okay, so this may be one of the way of failure of retaining wall. And again there is another way of failure of retaining wall is there. If this is your retaining wall, okay, what will happen? This retaining wall will develop some forces on the soil, foundation soil. Foundation soil will exert some pressure here, and if bearing capacity of this foundation soil, okay, this is your foundation soil, okay, if bearing capacity is less, there may be settlement of this particular retaining wall may happen. So this is the failure of your under soil. These three ways are there for failure of your retaining wall. And for during design, what we will be doing, we will take checks for overturning, we will take check for sliding, and we will take again check for the failure of under soil. So first we will see the failure due to overturning. Okay, now a retaining wall is subjected to some overturning moment which is explained earlier. Okay, this overturning moment will try to overturn the wall about its toe end. Okay, so let us consider this is your let us consider this is your retaining wall is there. Let us consider this is again a cantilever retaining wall is there. Okay, some ground level is there. Now this retaining wall will be subjected to some active earth pressure. Intensity is Ka gamma H. Let us consider total height of this retaining wall is capital H. Okay, now this intensity, the pressure developed will be Pa. This will be equal to gamma H. Okay, the area of this particular triangular portion, so this will be half into this Ka gamma H, right? So half multiplied by total height, so this will be equal to Ka gamma H square. So this lateral earth pressure will be acting here. This is Ka into gamma H square, and it is acting at a distance h by 3. It is acting at a distance h by 3 from the base. So moment developed here, this portion is toe, this portion is your toe. So moment developed at this portion toe, or let us consider this as O point. Moment developed is equal to the lateral pressure Pa multiplied by h by 3. So moment developed is equal to let us consider overturning moment MO. This will be equal to Pa into h by 3. We have Pa is equal to Ka into gamma H square. We have obtained this value here. Okay, multiplied by h by 3. So this overturning moments comes out to be Ka gamma H cube by this will be divided by 2 here, so it will be 1 by 2, and this value will be Ka gamma H cube divided by 6. So overturning moment M0 is equal to Ka into gamma H cube divided by 6. So this is the formula for calculating the overturning moment. Okay, similar phenomenon is explained here again. Okay, we will see one or otherwise I'll paste this particular link in your WhatsApp group. Okay, you go through this particular video how a retaining wall works, that is explained in this particular video. Okay, I'll paste this on your WhatsApp group. Okay, rather than consuming the time. Okay, we'll move. Just a minute, open होता है काम.
Before we declare a final verdict, let's use the model to find out what happens when the bottom leg
Okay, I
moves
think
to the left away from the marbles. As we add
the
marbles,
clarity is also not clear that much. Okay, you go through this particular video when you get time. Okay, कहाँ पे थे हम? Yeah, we were here, that is overturning moment. Okay, okay, so the overturning moment, we have just seen that overturning moment m0 is equal to ka gamma h cube divided by 6. At the same time, what will happen if you, there will be some resisting moment will be developed due to weight of your backfill. First portion which will be developing the resisting moment will be weight of your backfill, then surcharge and self weight of retaining wall. You can see in previous here I have already told you that this force or this pressure intensity, this will be destabilizing, or this will cause the overturning moment, or this is the destabilizing force, whereas remaining forces, that is w1, w2, w3, these are the stabilizing forces. So if this is causing some overturning moment like this will retain the or this will again, just a minute. Now if we consider w1, it is acting here, w1 is acting here at a distance, some distance from this end, so it will again cause some moment. Let us consider it is at x. Okay, this will again cause some stabilizing moment. Our destabilizing moment is in this direction, stabilizing moment will be in this direction, so it will provide stability. w3, this will again cause some moment about this o. Okay, so again wt will be again causing some moment like this about this point o. Okay, so these three will be stabilizing forces, or this will provide the stability, w1, w2 and w3. That is, w1 is the weight of soil mass above the hill slab, w2 is the weight of your stem slab, stem, and w3 is the weight of your slab or base slab. Okay, now now the resisting moment will be the sum of all w into x bar, that is w1, that is weight of soil, multiplied by, let us consider x1 is the distance at which it is acting from the point o or the from toe end, plus w2, that is weight of your stem, multiplied by, let us consider x2 is the distance from of w2 from the toe end, plus w3, that is weight of base slab, multiplied by x3. Let us consider x3 is the distance of your w3 from the toe end. Okay, so this sum, this is called as resisting moment. This sum is called as resisting moment. Okay, sorry. So moment of all these w1, w2, w1, w2 and w3 about this toe end o, this moment is moment of all this. Let us consider this is w1, sorry, x1, this will be x2, okay, and this is your x3. Then moment of all this w1, w2 and w3 about o, sum of this moment, okay, sorry, sum of all these moments, it is called as resisting moment, and it is shown by mr, and it is equal to sum of w into x, so that is equal to so that is equal to w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus w3 x3. Some other load will be maybe there, that is weight of this surcharge if available, that will be again counted. Okay, okay, now this is the stabilizing moment or resisting moment will be there. Now as per IS 456 clause number 20.1, the stability of retaining wall against the retaining overturning should be ensured so that resisting moment is less than 1.4, that is the factor of safety should be more than or equal to 1.4. Factor of safety should be more than or equal to 1.4. so factor of safety will be equal to resisting moment divided by overturning moment. Resisting moment divided by overturning moment. This value should be more than 1.4. This value should be more than or equal to 1.4, but at the same time some other clause is there. Okay, some other clause is there. It says that if dead load provides the restoring moment, then as per code only 0.9 times the characteristic load should be taken. So as per the IS code, this resisting moment MR, this should be taken as 0.9 MR. This should be taken as 0.9 MR if the resisting moment is due to dead load only. Generally the resisting moments are only due to dead load. So this MR, this value will become, so just a minute. So this formula will become Fs is equal to 0.9 MR, sorry, Fs is equal to 0.9 MR divided by MO, where MR is the resisting moment and this is equal to 0.9. We have already seen MR is equal to sum of W into X bar, divided by, we have also seen this overturning moment M0, this is equal to Ka, this is equal to Ka gamma H cube divided by 6. So write down here Ka gamma H cube divided by 6. So this is how the factor of safety is calculated, and the value of this factor of safety, this should be more than or equal to, this should be more than or equal to 1.4. This should be more than or equal to 1.4. This is the factor of safety for overturning, and the formula is like this, that is 0.9 MR divided by M0, where MR is the resisting moment. We have already seen MR is equal to the summation of W into X bar, and M0 is equal to this value. Okay, so this value should be more than or equal to 1.4. This value should be more than or equal to 1.4. Yeah. Okay, for inclined backfill, again, if there is some inclined backfill, the restoring moment which is provided due to this backfill portion, okay, if there is some backfill is there, what will happen? There will be some pressure will be developed here due to self weight W. Let us consider W. It will again provide some moment here about this toe end O, but this moment is neglected in design. This is neglected in design because it is very small generally. Okay, therefore it is neglected. Also it makes the calculation simpler, and if there is removal of this surcharge is there will not be possibility of failure, because some restoring force is removed if this surcharge is removed for leveling of this ground in this particular portion. Therefore this particular effect of this surcharge is again neglected. Okay,